Good morning and a very warm welcome to the Recruitment Startup Hub Series 1 of how to be successful in your first 24 months of setting up a recruitment agency. We're absolutely delighted to be bringing episode 3 to you today, live from ourselves here at Simplicity, and also one of our trusted partners, Ben Brook from Growth Recruits. We'll be working through a live presentation today, talking to you about all things marketing. So how to dress your shop window and give the best outlook from your business to your target audience. Throughout today's session, we'd like to keep this interactive. So if you have got any questions you would like to ask either of myself or Ben, please do put them into the Q&A session. I'll try my very best to keep an eye on that, and we'll pose those questions to Ben throughout the session. We will also have a designated Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. So if you would prefer to keep questions until then, please do so, and we'll invite those forward at the end. But we'd like to try and keep this session as interactive as possible. As usual, this session is being recorded. We will provide the recording to all sign-ups after today's session. So if there is anything that you missed or you want to revisit, you will have the opportunity to do so. We'll be sending out a follow-up email after today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ben to introduce himself and make a start with today's session. As discussed, please do make use of the Q&A session for any questions you might want to pose. Ben, over to yourself.
Thanks, Vincent. And yeah, hi guys. Welcome to this session. As Vincent said, my name's Ben Brook. I am the Sales and Marketing Director here at Growth Recruits. Who are Growth Recruits? So we are a recruitment marketing agency, focused solely on the recruitment industry, work with a wide variety of recruitment agencies up and down the UK, all shapes and sizes, and effectively we help them grow through marketing. So we offer everything from brand development, website design, website development, through to search engine optimization, link building, content marketing, email, paid social, and some kind of lead generation activities as well. And yeah, just basically helping organizations like yourselves to drive revenue and conversions through their marketing channels. So today we're going to discuss recruitment marketing strategies that drive consistent growth. So we put together these slides based on a lot of different factors and a lot of different strategies that we're using on our active recruitment clients and where we're seeing those conversions. And I'm going to take you through a couple of different areas, starting from ideal customer profiling through to kind of search and email marketing, and hopefully give you guys some actionable things to take away and start using in your own marketing strategies. So I'll dive straight in. And first, we're going to talk about ideal customer profiling and developing your target audience. So this is where we speak to a lot of recruitment agencies, and in their heads, they kind of understand who they're trying to target. But it's important to kind of get this down, and I'm going to give you a bit of a framework to do that. So we split this into two pots. So we have company profile, so the companies in the industries that you're wanting to target, and then the persona profile. So who inside of those organizations do we want to get in front of, and how best can we shape our messaging to address their challenges and their goals and what they're measured against inside of their roles. So from a company profiling point of view, we want to ask the question, what businesses do I want to attract? And breaking that down into attributes. So that could be employee count, location, where they're headquartered, funding data. So an example here is we work with a few tech recruitment firms whose ideal target business is tech startups across US tech hubs, and funding data is a really good indicator of growth. So if they've just recently secured a Series B or Series C funding round, then it's pretty likely that hiring is going to be part of that growth. So it's a really good indicator for them from a BD point of view, but also from a messaging and content development point of view. Hiring data, so understanding where and how much companies are growing and where that hiring is taking place in terms of what function. Is it in sales? Is it in marketing? Is it in IT? Is it in engineering? And then technology stacks. So say you're hiring developers, for example, or you're hiring technical roles, understanding what your target businesses are using from a technology standpoint is also key. So again, it could be a CRM system they're using, it could be an enterprise management system that they're using, any web technology. That stuff's all useful in understanding, where potential opportunities could be from a hiring perspective. Again, challenges they're facing related to your service. Is it attrition? Is it lack of candidates on the market, lack of skills in the candidates that they're getting through the door? Historically, what we say is think about the businesses that you've worked with in the past and which were the best businesses to work with. So again, some attributes there could be they were quick to pay, but also things like good hiring processes and strong employer brand. These are all elements that are going to help you to effectively fill those roles better. So if you're bringing candidates into a good, solid process, or you're approaching candidates and attracting candidates with this company that's got an outstanding employer brand, it's just going to make your job 10 times easier. Some useful tools. Feel free to kind of screenshot this and kind of explore these tools in your own time, but Crunchbase and Owler, really good business intelligence tools, which give you basically all of this data. So from employee size and location to funding data, hiring data, technology, those organizations are using. A lot of these tools like Crunchbase and Owler are tied in with news publications and press and updates and things like that. So they're really good hubs to really dig into the target customers that you're trying to get in front of and trying to add value to. LinkedIn, if you're using LinkedIn Recruiter, you'll have access to hiring data. So there's elements I mentioned before around percentage growth in certain areas within the business, where they're decreasing hiring, where they're increasing hiring. Again, all those things are good kind of intent indicators. Apollo is another kind of sales engagement tool, but that can be used for intent. So they have intent signals in there. So hiring intent, so some of your accounts that you're looking to work into, maybe searching for hiring related phrases, it'll prompt around that. Again, if they're buying a new enterprise piece of software, they're probably going to need people on board to help implement that and run that and bring in new people that are familiar with that software. So there's lots of really useful tools here to kind of break down who those companies are from an attribute standpoint. And again, a lot of these tools you can use for free. Obviously, LinkedIn Recruiter you're paying for already, but Crunchbase and Owler have free trials that you can do some preliminary company profiling on. So really useful tools. Make sure you check those out. Onto the persona profile. So this is where I suppose we want to dig into a little bit more detail around who are the people inside of those businesses that we're trying to attract and we're trying to add value to. So again, attributes there could be job title, length of service, team size, projects they're working on. Again, some of that hiring data that we were just talking about. But importantly, what challenges are they facing inside of their role? So understanding that a CEO and a head of engineering have wildly different goals, measures, reasons to hire, and breaking those challenges down for each job title that you're trying to get in front of is going to give you a lot of ideas and collateral to help build content around and help build outreach and messaging around. There's some tools for doing some of this around the challenges. So again, LinkedIn's good, following those key personas on LinkedIn, CEOs, heads of engineering, whatever your target persona is. What content are they engaging with? What content are they publishing? What polls are they publishing? Where are their comments? Where are they hanging out on LinkedIn? Glassdoor and Indeed are good for things like job descriptions. So inside of those job descriptions, you're going to have breakdowns of what those job titles are measured against, what their goals are, how they're going to be impacting on business growth and is hiring in their remit, et cetera, et cetera. Where do they hang out? So this is an important one. I think I'll give you an example. So I'm in a community called Peak, and it's a community for marketing leaders, basically. And in there, there's CMOs, heads of marketing, directors of marketing. And it's just a big community of marketing leaders, and in there they're constantly asking questions about challenges they're having, reaching out to their peers to get insights into how other people are solving those challenges. And as a recruiter in some of those communities, it's a really valuable, insightful look into, yeah, what challenges these people are facing. And because it's in private, they're being more open and candid with their challenges. And again, it's all ideas to help build content and help build messaging and help build tone of voice and see what these target personas are engaging with and asking. Quora is also a good one. If you go on Quora, it's like if you're not sure of what Quora is, it's like Yahoo Answers, but a 2023 version, I suppose. And inside of there, you can look at kind of topics around heads of engineering, heads of marketing, heads of sales, whatever your target persona is, and there'll be those personas engaging on there, answering questions around challenges and hiring and all sorts of good good topics that again are gonna be the base for everything you create going forward. So whether it's tone of voice and messaging to content strategy, the structure of your website, having this base is going to be super useful as you grow your team and you bring marketing people in, you bring agencies in. It's our kind of central point of where we create everything from. So if you haven't done this work already, I recommend just kind of making sure you go away and before you do anything in terms of building website, building content, you've done a lot of this, work. So hopefully that was
Ben,
useful.
just a quick one on this
Yeah.
the previous slide that you put up. I think the persona is linking in to the first stage of business development as well. One of the questions we get asked a lot is where do I start? So the final bullet point that you've got on here about where does your target audience hang out? So I think when we look at events, online communities, groups, social channels, etc., that's quite high level. Would you say that using Quora would help somebody make a start? So quite often we get agencies that will say, okay, I understand that that's what I need to do, but where do I actually start to get some ideas? Would you be pointing somebody towards Quora to make a start and get some inspiration?
Yeah, around the challenges, 100%. Like if you go into Quora and start typing in topics again related to the market you're trying to hire into, or the job titles that you're trying to add value to, there'll be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts around again hiring, general business challenges, and all these people are engaging on Quora, and it's a great kind of repository of insight and look into like these personas' brains and the challenges they're facing. And usually the answers on Quora tend to be quite in depth as well. So yeah, 100%. I think if you're looking to start persona profiling, I think Quora is a good start. Again, along with some of these other elements that I discussed. But again, Quora's free and it's easily accessible, and you can really use it to to get into the nitty gritty of some of those challenges that your personas face in 100%.
Okay, and then I suppose on top of that, it's once you've mapped out your target audience, is learning and understanding what motivates those individuals, where do they go, what events are they attending, which you can then use, all of those other systems. Okay, great, thanks for that, Ben.
No, good questions. So I suppose moving into the recruitment website side of things, so we build a lot of recruitment websites. We also work with a lot of recruiters that have existing websites, and these kind of tips and tricks are kind of based on conversations we've had and success we've had in building sites. The first is be different, please. The majority of recruitment websites look, feel, and sound the exact same. So I think it's important that you try and understand what's different about your brand, your service, the experience you offer, and try and get that represented in your brand and in your website. Again, on the brand side of things, something that stands out, I can't say just use a bright color. Again, it's all around colors, imagery, illustration, and making sure that, again, you are standing out against your competitors. Go on Google, search for a competitive term that you'd ideally want to be ranking for, and just have a look at some of your competitors' websites and take down, okay, what are they doing that I'm not impressed with? What sounds boring? What looks boring? what just sounds like it's just a mundane recruitment company that's not offering anything different to anyone else on the market. And we want to try and capitalize on that to, again, bring yourself to the market with something that is a little bit different. Often the pushback I get there is, well, we don't really offer anything different. We just do a standard recruitment process, and that's fine. But think about maybe where, I suppose, take a step back and see if there's anything value led that you can add onto your service offering, whether that's employer branding services, whether it's candidate process or recruitment process services. It could be psychometric testing. So they're little bolt-ons that you could add onto your service to, again, add that extra value. If not, and that's not something, again, you want to push or you've got expertise in, then try and maybe think about some kind of social, corporate social responsibility angle. So whether that's giving percentage of profits, starting projects in the community, starting projects that benefit the industry you're working in. All these things can be really useful in differentiating yourself from competitors. It's something that's overlooked a lot of the time, and these kind of social responsibility angles, or again, tying into your company values, can be a really useful marketing tool and help you, again, stand out from the crowd, because there's not a lot of recruitment agencies that are doing that stuff. So I think look at the CSR side of things, but also look at seeing where you can add value, and from a service or experience standpoint. And then we want to shout about that stuff inside of the messaging and your aesthetics of your website. If you're not sure, it's kind of selfish, but engage an agency. Like, this is why companies like us exist. It's what we do on a day-to-day basis. We've got lots of experience in building recruitment brands and websites from scratch and taking them to top of Google and driving revenue and driving conversions. And it's using little things like this to differentiate themselves from the competitors on the market. Secondly, don't use a Wix template, please. This is a GIF representing our SEO team when we get a new client that's on a Wix site. That applies for things like Squarespace, One-on-One, all these kind of free website builders. We've lost count of the amount of messes we've had to clean up for clients who went with that quick and easy option. Long term, when you're trying to scale and you're trying to build strategy around your website and you're trying to implement SEO, these websites tend to be very restrictive in what we can do from a technical standpoint and kind of adjustments on the back end. And you want to add some custom elements in there. It can be really tricky go further down the line once you've committed into building this site, and it's cost a fortune to, again, in subscription fees. And once you've kind of consulted someone to fix all these issues that you've got, just start with a WordPress website. Other CMSs are available, but there's a reason why 70% of content managed websites use WordPress. They work, they're scalable, they're easy to use, and they work fantastically for recruitment. So there's lots of plugins and things available that'll help kind of tie into your ATS systems or your CRMs, and uploading CVs for candidates and candidate process. There's all of this stuff is already built into WordPress, and it's a reason why we use it from a development point of view. So if you are thinking about using something like Wix, I'd avoid it. Go down the WordPress route, and again, long term, you'll thank yourself. Build with search in mind. So we want to build our website with good user experience and how clients are going to be using it at the forefront of everything. But having a search mentality when building the site is also key. So most businesses spend a fortune on a website that, again, we talked about, looks the same as the rest, and they neglect key areas from a search point of view that will help you drive revenue through your website in the long term. So when you're getting a website developed, ensure the team or the company that's developing your website understands SEO and the importance of the technicals. I'll come on to the technicals further in this presentation, but you need to build with this in mind. So things like it being mobile friendly. So is the experience good on mobile? Is it fast? Are buttons and text all readable and clickable on mobile? Is there, everything's in one column, there's no sideways scrolling, everything fits into the viewport. Best practice heading structure, so you've got good hierarchical content structure throughout your website, and when when Google's on your site, it's going through and it's understanding that everything is relevant to each heading, and where we're talking about things that are valuable and insightful. I'll come on to more of this in a little bit more detail, but again, build with search in mind. And when you're building a website from scratch, we want to make sure that whoever's building that site has SEO at the back of their mind as they're building it. Because it's more work once the website's live to go back and fix those issues, those technical issues, than it is to kind of bake them into the initial build. I think this is an important one that often gets overlooked. So your website should be revenue generating. Often we hear like we just need a shop front, we just need something to show that we're a real business, and that's fine to start with, having a landing page with your logo and kind of an understanding that there's a website coming. But at the end of the day, your website costs money, and it should provide a return on investment. Go into your website development with an end goal in mind, and that goal should be to drive inquiries. If after 2 years' time you've had a website built and it's not driving inquiries, that's a problem. You've obviously spent a lot of money on building this website, and it should be starting to contribute to revenue. And from a conversions point of view, whether that's inquiries from clients or, again, opt-ins to jobs and opt-ins to your email newsletter and things from candidates, that's also important. We need to make sure the website's working for both new business and for candidate attraction. Content. So content again is often overlooked. So some of that ideal customer profiling work that we talked about at the start should help drive some of this. So creating content around recruitment, challenges your ICP's facing, industry insight, hiring insight, research and data, thought leadership. This is all stuff we want to be publishing across your website. Ensure your offering is clear and there's plenty of content about each of your offerings. So often we see websites with different service offerings in different sectors. They might have 5 different offerings across 5 different sectors, and each one of those pages has 100 words on it and a call to action. Well, it's not really demonstrating your expertise. We want to make sure we're kind of contributing to your expertise and showcasing that in those pages. So again, things like what you do and how you do it, your process, benefits, social proof, frequently asked questions you get, author bios, so demonstrating who on that team is in charge of bringing those processes, what's their experience like, across all of your service pages is important. And in terms of the blog posting around the stuff I was talking about before, insight, challenges, research, you can use keyword research tools to see search volume, so how many people are searching for that thing each month. So tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush, which you can see at the bottom here, you can put in keywords related to your market and your service offering and the challenges that we've kind of etched out of that ideal customer profiling work. And we can put those questions into these tools, and it'll tell us how many people are searching for those things, what the competition's like in the search for those topics, different questions related. And what that's going to do is just give you a big bank of content ideas that you can start creating, not just for your blog post, but and your website, but you can start creating long form content from that stuff. You can start kind of building the research you do in that content into your business development outreach. And it's super useful. And SEMrush offers a free trial for 2 weeks, I think, which will let you do a big bulk of this work and kind of understand where the search is in your industry. Also asked is a really good one as well. So you can put in a question that you frequently get asked by your ideal customer profile, for example. And what it'll do is it'll branch off 30 different questions related to that initial question. And again, they're all really good topics to start building content from. So getting these ideas is super simple, again, using tools like this. And the hardest part here is actually just writing the content, right? That's going to be the longest part of the process, but finding those ideas should be relatively simple using these tools. So make sure you go and check these out after this session. And yeah, when you're building out your content strategy, having these tools in mind.
Ben, just a couple of questions that have
Yeah,
come in from
sure.
the audience on content.
Sure.
How often should the person who is responsible for updating the website be putting new content onto the website?
So there's no black and white time here. Like you should be posting every week or every 2 days. it doesn't really matter. I think the aim here is to post content consistently, and consistently is, yeah, it depends on your resource internally. Um, it's just a case of making sure you've got a bank of content and just making sure you're regularly publishing. Whether that's, yeah, ideally the more content you're publishing, the better, as long as it's good
Hmm.
quality and high value. I'll come on to some of that stuff in a second. But making sure we are publishing content regularly is key. Again, that's all down to the resource you've got internally, right? For some people, it's impossible to publish 2 blog posts a week because they just don't have the resource. But making sure it's consistent, and yeah, whether you're posting once a week or once a month, just making sure that you're constantly posting updated content, and making sure those older posts that you were writing and publishing are also being kept up to date if things in the market are changing. So
Hmm.
yeah, there's no black and white, but I think set yourself realistic targets and make sure you're posting as consistently as you possibly can.
Okay, and the other question is around posting content and keywords within the content. So, if we're posting content online and working hard on the keywords, does it have any impact if the content doesn't remain on the website? So, for example, if somebody's posting something on the website and it's on there for a month or two, and then they overwrite that with new content, does that have any impact on how that would work?
So yes. So basically, if you've got a piece of content that's light and things change, and you're adding more content to it and you're improving that blog post, it's going to have a positive effect. If you're overwriting it with a brand new post related to different things and different keywords, then it's obviously going to have an effect. So if you're if the thing that you're overwriting it with doesn't have as much relevance to the thing that you're overwriting, just create new content, and try and update the older content as best as possible. But yeah, I think from an updating content point of view, it's a really good habit to get into, to make sure, again, stats that you're quoting inside of those blog posts are correct and accurate and up to date, because again, things in recruitment, just like in marketing, change fast, and we've got to make sure that we're serving the users that are finding this content with the most up to date and valuable content possible.
Hmm. And just one final question regarding competitions. So this question has come in. Obviously, when we start our businesses, our competition score is quite low.
Yeah.
Should we be focusing on less competitive, less volume scored keywords, or more focused on highly competitive, high volume?
Yeah, so that is a really good question. So um when you start your website, you're starting from scratch, so you have no authority. So there's techniques we can use, which I'm going to come on to in a little bit further into this session, around link building and building authority. So what we usually recommend is, yeah, we try and find that, I hate the word, but the low hanging fruit. So it's that, yeah, like you mentioned, it's the low competition, um low volume, but also low competition, high volume search terms and things that are out there. You'll be surprised how much high volume, low competition search terms and topics there are out there. Using tools like SEMrush and Ahrefs will kind of show you where that volume is, but also show you the difficulty in ranking for that stuff. But yeah, when you're starting out, go after that low hanging fruit, because that's where you're going to start getting those rankings from initially. But what we try and do at the same time is build up your domain authority through, again, good content, but also link building that is relevant to your market, and you're getting links back from authoritative websites to obviously build up that authority. And I'll come on to kind of some techniques to do that in a little while. But I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pause questions there and allow you to continue, Ben, and I'll come back with some more questions shortly.
Okay, perfect. So I suppose lastly on this section around kind of that initial getting the website up and running, very quickly ensure that analytics and goals are being set up. You'd be surprised how many clients don't have this set up just to track their traffic, let alone conversions. Make sure as your site goes live, you've got an analytics program linked to your site and measuring traffic, and make sure you've got goals set up to track those conversions. So from form submissions to calls to email clicks to live chat engagements to CV uploads. We want to be making sure we're tracking all those conversions so we can then understand further down the line where those conversions are coming from. So what pages are those people passing through to get to that conversion? What's the source of those conversions? So is it paid social? Is it organic search? Is it pay-per-click? And understanding where our best performing channels are and also where our lowest performing channels are so we can then make adjustments. Google Analytics is free. It takes 5 minutes to install. If you don't have it on your website already, make sure you kind of, you go away and make sure that's on your site. It's key to understanding how your website's performing and where you're getting conversions from. Okay, so into search engines and tips for search engine optimization. I'm going to touch on maybe some of those things we just had in that question there. So I'll kind of gloss over some of those things, but I suppose we try and, to make this simple, we try and break it down into 3 areas. So the first area is getting the technicals right. So I'm not going to go into every single element of technicals here, but I'm going to cover some of the core things that you need to be looking out for. So you need to ensure your website passes Google's Core Web Vitals. So if you Google Core Web Vitals, you'll see there's a ton of resource from Google on best practice, along with tools to test your website to make sure you're passing these things. So a lot of this is based on performance of your website. So whether that's device, like we talked about before with mobile and tablet, making sure your website is readable on those devices, it's easily scrollable, things are easy to navigate, but also speed. So how fast your website takes to load for the first time, our images slow to load, making sure you've got clear hierarchical structure of headings, which is important. So making sure that your subtitles are actually subtopics of your primary titles and you've got good heading structure throughout. So without going into the technicals too much, but basically you've got in the code, you've got different headings, so heading 1, heading 2, etc. Sometimes those headings are used just from a styling point of view, but it's important to make sure that those headings are going in good hierarchical order so Google can understand the flow of the content. Ensuring you've got no broken links and good internal linking. So broken links are, you've got links on your website that when you click go through to a 404 page or a page that is no longer available. Good internal linking. So on service pages and blog posts, you're linking to different elements of your website that add value to the thing you're talking about. Ensure your site's optimized for indexing. Many a time we've had a recruitment agency, we've got 200 pages, but only 15's indexing, only for us to go into the back end for them to have something turned on that's telling Google not to index the website. And indexing is basically Google publishing that page on their search results. So simple things like that can have a massive impact on where you're ranking. A lot of this can and should be done in the development process. So the majority of this stuff that I've just discussed is core work for the development and the setup of your website, but then should be maintained going forward to ensure that performance is at the peak and you're following kind of these rules in terms of broken links and hierarchical structure to make sure that, again, your website is following best practices. Links and domain authority. So I kind of mentioned there about link building. So domain authority is tied to a lot of different things, but link building is and getting links from authoritative websites is a big part of that. This link building should be organic, contextual, and relevant to your industry and your service. 10, 15 years ago, any backlinking was good. But that kind of backlinking, so getting backlinks from forums that have no relevance to your site, service, or market, CBD websites and casino sites and things like that will now have a negative impact. So if the links you're getting are not, again, organic, contextual, and relevant, they can have a negative impact. So how do we do that? So look at building partnerships in your niche, guest posting on industry publications, connecting with others who serve your industry as well, and kind of creating those partnerships and those links and creating co-content together to make sure you're kind of interlinking between each other and adding value to each other's audiences. High authority relevant sites linking to your site can show Google that your site is trustworthy and knowledgeable, and it all works towards kind of giving you I suppose, yeah, authority points and slowly building up your domain authority. PR can expedite this process. So we did a campaign for a recruitment agency that has, again, one of their big differentiators is diversity, inclusion, and they push that as part of their whole brand. And organizations that want to push diversity, inclusion, and are really focused on that inside of their businesses, they're a really good match for them as a recruitment agency. So we built these candles, this smells like workplace discrimination candles, that had various different quotes and figures and stats on it from a diversity and inclusion standpoint. They cost a couple of £100 to set up, buy some wholesale candles and print some labels. This got picked up by the Telegraph, the Times, various publications, as well as niche diversity inclusion publications that are, again, relevant and contextual to the thing we're saying, but also their business. And off this one campaign, again, you're driving all of these backlinks, which again is working towards building your domain authority. So PR is a good way to expedite that. Again, you do one campaign, get multiple links versus, yeah, traditional link building is like business development, right? It takes time and it can be slow. But is worth doing to slowly, again, build up that domain authority. Content, again, yes, apologies, but content is king. This is directly from Google. So Google's ranking system aims to reward original, high quality content that demonstrates qualities of what we call EEAT. So that content should demonstrate qualities that show expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So if you're writing content, and you're developing content on your website, and you read through it, you need to ask yourself, does this demonstrate our expertise, our experience, our authoritativeness, and our trustworthiness? If it doesn't, it's probably worth going back and making sure you're writing it for those things. So this is where Google is rewarding content. So we need to be in line with that and make sure that we're, again, creating content that solves challenges. We're giving original opinion, and we're giving things that are valuable to the reader. Again, solving challenges and things like that is a great way to do that. Using that keyword research to build this out. So again, using those tools we discussed before, like SEMrush and Ahrefs, and also Ask to figure out where that volume is, and building that into the content strategy. And again, just to touch on what I discussed on before, avoiding those light content pages related to your service. So we want to make sure we're in depth and ensure that content is easy to digest and navigate, and we're offering social proof, and we're offering insight into why we're different, and where we add value, and having content linked on those pages that's related to that service offering is key. So if you've got service pages with 100 words on, it's probably worth going and filling those out with, again, content that kind of demonstrates these EEAT qualities. Yeah, again, it can be done. It sounds complicated, but it is quite simple. It's just doing those little things right, and doing them consistently. We're doing this for a wide range of recruitment agencies across various sectors and markets, and we've got a bunch of case studies of taking recruitment websites from nothing, a brand new site, to ranking on page 1, position 1 for highly competitive commercial recruitment phrases. So it is possible, and you can beat the big boys for this stuff. It's just a case of making sure your site is optimized for search, and you've got the technicals right, you're doing and delivering good content, and you're slowly building up your authority. So yeah, any questions on that stuff before we move on to kind of, yeah, the next stage? I know there's obviously a lot in there, so apologies, but hopefully some of that's useful, and you can get some key takeaways from it.
I don't think we've got any new questions coming in at this stage, Ben. I think that kind of gives us a great overview of the key things that we need to consider. And what's great that's come out of there is the effort that's put in needs to be strategic in order to get the outcome that we require,
Sure.
which was very interesting. And I'm sure our audience has got a huge amount out of that.
Good. Yeah, and like I said, there's some tools and things in there, so make sure you're utilizing those tools because they're there for a reason, and they make things easier.
Just one question that has come in, sorry,
Yeah.
just whilst we were talking, is how long should each blog post be on average? Most of this person's content is between 1,500 and 2,000 words, but see many that are much shorter or longer. Does it matter how long these posts are?
Kind of. So we try and aim for 2,000 words in long form blog posts. 2,000 words or above is kind of our general guidance. But I think the most important thing here is, again, going back to these core pillars. So if you've got a piece of content that's 500 words, but it's demonstrating the EEAT qualities, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, and you're given original opinion, there's no harm in that. But if you're publishing blog posts that are 500 words long and they're not really saying anything and they're not really answering the questions and they're not really concluding anything, then it can possibly have negative impacts on whether that thing ranks or not. So I think don't write for length, I suppose. So don't be like, oh, let's just hit 2,000 words for the sake of hitting 2,000 words. If you can get your content piece or what you're trying to say or the challenge you're trying to solve in that blog post across in 1,500 words, and that's fine. I think it's just a case of ensuring that the most important thing here is making sure we're applying these rules to the content. It doesn't matter so much about length, but again, with really complicated topics, it's really difficult to get that to get the answers to those things and dig into the data and dig into the research in 500 words. So usually for these more difficult topics, we recommend that longer form content that can cover multiple different topics under that one umbrella, if that makes sense, which can help you, again, rank for multiple different things for that one. Apologies. Ad block updates, technical issues. Yeah, so basically focus on these core qualities. Blog length can matter, but it depends on the subject. But yeah, it can help you rank for multiple different things inside of that one blog post if you're answering 4, 5, 6 different challenges, or questions, or again addressing 5 or 6 different things. So length isn't always the most important thing, but it's worth bearing in mind. Great question.
That's it for now, Ben. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll let you move on. Okay,
perfect. So email marketing. So we're getting people to the website. You're getting traffic on the website. What can we do to, again, add impact, add value? So 98% of all your website visitors won't make an inquiry. If you look at your analytics, that'll probably tell you something similar if you hopefully have analytics on. But they're clearly on your website for a reason, right? So they found a content piece or they're actively looking for your service offering. So we want to capture as much of that data and intent from that traffic as possible. So email marketing and inbound marketing strategy is a really good way to do that. So who's got something like this on their website? Sign up to our newsletter today, keep up to date with the latest developments. We're going to send you job updates, etc., etc. Nobody wants another newsletter, seriously. So people understand the value of their data now more than ever. So think on your iPhone recently, you probably had the Apple privacy update to opt out of tracking. Browsers are removing cookies eventually to, again, stop tracking and retargeting across the site, across the internet. GDPR is obviously in place now, so cookie policies, etc., etc. So people are more aware of how people are using their data and how their data is being used. And what we see is the highest performing opt-ins for email are all value led. So deals and discounts do work in other sectors. So if you're a Boohoo or an ASOS, having a 15% discount code is a good way to drive people into your funnels. But for us in B2B, where we're trying to offer value, we're trying to get that exchange of details that needs to be worth the value. So it's an exchange of value for details. So some examples here. So some value-led opt-ins, benchmarking data, state of the industry reports, calculators, costs of a failed hire, content pieces like hiring confessions of a target persona in target industry. Where we're using this value to get people to exchange their data, and then we're pushing them into a funnel and nurturing them through email sequences. So I'll come on to segmentation in a second, but we use get response for the majority of our email marketing and for our inbound sequences. So I'll give you an example of how that works and what we're doing that's a little bit unique here. So we have the opt-in on the site. The person that's on the site opts in. They want that value-led content piece. They get access to it instantly, but then a couple of hours later, they get a welcome email with that content piece of here. Understood you downloaded the salary benchmarking document. Hope you found it useful. Here's a link to it just in case you want to refer back to it in the future, etc., etc. Email 2 will be a clickable voting system. So it's just 3 buttons inside of that email, and we're saying, hey, what did you think of that content piece? Was it useful? Rate it out of 5, for example, 5 stars. And then it just kind of gets that engagement going, lets you understand how well your content's sitting with the people that are downloading it. Email 3 is what we call the segmentation email. So it's basically an email with 3 different topics, for example. So it could be links to a cost of hiring calculator, an ebook on industry insight, and a content piece on reducing attrition, for example, with buttons to those things. Based on what those users are clicking in that email 3, we're tagging them as being interested in, I don't know, that certain challenge or topic. And then the following emails are more relevant and focused around the things that they've been clicking on previously in those other emails. And what we tend to find is that in those latter emails, so the emails that are more relevant to the challenges they're facing or the topics that they're interested in, the open rates are higher, the click-through rates are higher, conversion rates are higher, reply rates are higher. So the segmentation is key. Through GetResponse, we automate this whole thing. So it's from the opt-in to the final email is all an automated process. And again, a lot of that data inside of those emails. So in the call to action email, the last email, we could be offering some free benchmarking or job ad writing, or maybe a call to action to speak with one of your reps, for example. And that stuff can then all fire into your CRM and create leads and things like that. So we're trying to automate this whole process, but also offering value and driving segmentation. So yeah, every campaign that you do, so whether it's this inbound or whether you're just doing general email outbound and you're just sending emails to your email list, you should be trying to work segmentation in there. So some examples here, from a candidate point of view, it could be job switch intent, it could be job type preference, salary preference, referral campaign that you've got going on, the interest in that. And you can just do it through little vert systems inside of your emails. So if it's job switch intent, for example, you might have, is it a candidate-based email to your candidate list? It could be like, are you looking to move jobs in 2024, for example? And those 3 buttons might be yes in Q1, yes in Q3, yes, yeah, maybe thinking about it towards the end of the year. And then you're kind of getting an understanding for where those candidates are sitting at the moment. And again, that can all feed into your ATS and feed into your consultants that are out on the phones trying to pick up and speak to candidates. And it just makes things a little bit warmer. For clients and prospects, again, it can be hiring intent, business growth plans, hiring pains, interested topics. So hiring, yeah, what's the biggest challenge for your business in hiring at the moment? Lack of candidates, attrition, so keeping people on board. Our hiring process is a little bit naff. And then based on those clicks, again, we now know, okay, this is a core challenge of that person, of that prospect. Can we now work that into our BD and into our reps to reach out to those people? And it's a little bit warmer because we understand the challenges that they're facing, because they're actively engaging with those topics. So I think have segmentation at the back of your mind. I know it's sometimes tricky because I know inside of a lot of your guys' ATS or CRMs, like the marketing automation and the marketing tools are very limited, but GetResponse and other tools available, but GetResponse is just a very good tool for doing things like this. They're not like a bullhorn user fee brands, like it's like 40, 50 quid a month. So and the data can speak to your ATS and your CRMs, and you can pull data in and out. So there's ways of using tools like this for your benefit. But if you are doing email, make sure you have segmentation in mind, because again, we see all major email metrics, open rates, click rates, conversions increase when we send more targeted, relevant emails to our list. So try and get out of that mass send mentality and into that individual pot segmentation mentality. and that's it on the email stuff. So yeah, listen, I'll hand back to Vincent in a second. But if you're curious about any of that stuff, or you've got further questions, or you want to go into any of those topics in a little bit more depth, please feel free to reach out. My email's there. You just type in Ben Brook Growth Recruits on LinkedIn. You can find me there, and I'd be happy to chat through any of this with you. And yeah, hopefully that was useful. So yeah, any questions?
Thanks, Ben. We'll just wait for some questions to come in from the audience, but that was a great overview. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm sure all of our participants today have taken something away. In relation to the support that they can get from you and Growth Recruits,
Yeah.
what's the best way of the step one, if you like, of getting some support? Do you offer like a bit of a health check? How does that work from Growth Recruits? What's the support that's available at the very beginning of that journey for our
Yeah.
audience?
Yeah, for sure. So we always encourage a conversation at first, just to have a informal chat, no obligation. Let's just chat through where you are currently and what you're trying to achieve. And then off the back of that, if it sounds interesting, what we do is we create a proposal that is full of insight and like you mentioned there, Vincent, a bit of an audit. So we'll have a look into your site, where the opportunities are, where we think things can be improved. We also map that against your competitors, so you get a little bit of competitor analysis there. So if anything, it could just be a really good insight just to have that chat and figure out where the opportunities are. But yeah, as part of our kind of onboarding process, we offer a ton of value before there's ever anything exchanged money wise. So we're always trying to, again, a lot of what I've been talking about today, right? Adding value and making sure, yeah, you guys can go and do a lot of this stuff yourself, right? So adding that value, giving you guys what you need to just make that decision of whether, yeah, you want to move forward with an agency or try and do some of this stuff yourself. So yeah, like I said, reach out to me on email, LinkedIn, and we can, yeah, set up a time, and happy to chat through yeah, any questions you have, and yeah, maybe give you guys a bit of a health check and let you understand where you are and what the competition's like.
Fab. Okay. So a little bit like try before you buy. Let's see what we
Yeah,
can do for you. We'll provide you with an overview. Great. So as
exactly.
Ben said, if you'd like to reach out to him at Growth Recruits, you've got his contact details that have been on screen. We will share the recording of this webinar today. So you will get those via email as well. However, another way of getting in contact with Ben, or maybe another partner of our Recruitment Startup Hub, is via our online system. So we have a great ecosystem that's available for our signups today, our audience that have taken part. So if you'd like to pop over to the Recruitment Startup Hub, that is the platform that holds a huge amount of insight that's available for you to have a look at, read, download, share, etc. And Ben is a feature on that website, along with Growth Recruits and a number of our other partners. As we said at the very beginning of this session, this is episode 3 of our series 1 of how to be successful within your first 24 months. So we're delighted to bring to you episode 4 in January. That will be on the 25th of January, and that will be with our partner Angela Cripps from the Recruiting Gym, and she'll be talking to you about all things training and development, what is available in terms of support, etc. So please do tune in then for the next episode in this series. This is the last live webinar of this year, so thank you to everybody for joining today and of course being part of the Recruitment Startup Hub. We'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We hope that you enjoy some downtime over the next couple of weeks, and we look forward to helping support you kickstart 2024. We're really excited to work with you as we move into next year. But until then, have fun, enjoy Christmas, and we'll speak to you all very soon.
Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas and have a good New Year.